everyone. I don't know why I'm doing this. I can just do this. Rightio. Welcome to Tea with Mo. I think this is our 5th lecture. Might even be more, not too sure. Today we're going to talk about attachment styles from a non-dualistic perspective. And I wanted to bring in...
I'm
not an expert in the field, but certainly someone who I know who knows a lot about this. As much as I know a lot about it, I've learned a lot of the stuff from what Allison has been able to share with me around this. So what we're going to do is I'll introduce once again the concept of non-duality and what... Hello, Anna. I didn't even see you sneak in here. The concept of non-duality and what the essence of these lectures are, and we'll look at. I want to present to you the concept of spiritual embodiment, and then how it's related to attachment styles, attachment theory, and then so we're going to go into this mind-body complex. This experience that we have in relation to our life on this planet with other people, and then I'm going to bring you back to the non-dualistic perspective, all right? Even though it's all the one. Okay,
all
so
one.
Yeah, so that's sort of the path that we're going to take as well. And once again, I go unscripted in this, so who knows where we'll go. But I'm just really grateful to have you not only be here today helping me with this and talking around it, but also being a significant part of this journey in the Inner Light Meditation Centre. And I've been wanting to bring you on to this stage because remember, this place is about finding your voice.
Yes, that's right.
Yes.
It is. And so here I am, finding my voice.
So just notice the arisings.
Yes, I am already noticing.
Beautiful. So we've got a lovely bunch of people in here joining us tonight, and just wanted to honour each and every one of you for stepping into this space as well too. All right. So I think we've got a man on 4 wheels coming on in as we always look forward to his presence. Yeah, Alex. Hello.
Hello, Alex, Paco.
Okay, so non-duality. The reason why I want to bring these concepts to this space and have these conversations is that a lot of us have forgotten our way. And in a sense, forgotten our way, it's actually part of what this experience is about. There's a veil of forgetting. As we come into this 3-dimensional experience, 4th density experience, human experience, we come through with the veil of forgetting. Now, the concept of non-duality is based upon eternity, and eternity is longer than forever, okay? And everything is coming from the one source. That's what non-duality, in a sense, represents. So everything comes from this one source, and everything is a fractal of this one source, appearing as itself, having its own experience, which then feeds into the one experience of the source itself, infinite intelligence, which is just a beautiful, beautiful way to look at life. And once again, these can just be paradigms. These can just be models and concepts for you to utilise in your mind. A lot of this might not necessarily be true. There could be that actual realisation. However, in saying that, by having this model and concept of thought, what it does is it unites people. Yes. It unites everything. I don't see myself as separate to something else. And that's the beautiful thing about it.
It connects us all.
It does connect us all and connects us to everything and ultimately connects us to life as well. So this is the primary purpose that I wanted to share this, because when I found this, it significantly changed my life and it changed my outlook on my future, because remember, everything is about your future. Every decision that you make each and every day, it's about what's about to come. It's a future timeline. And when things start to happen, we shift those future timelines. And sometimes we get caught in the process of grieving a future timeline that we thought we were going to have. So when change is placed upon our path, all of a sudden we have to readjust our current situation. And we also have to readjust our future. I thought this was going to happen. This was what was planned. This is what I had thought. Now I'm having to shift it. Yeah, so this is what life is about constantly. So this non-dualistic perspective allows me to come into this space right here and now and go, wow, my future is potential, pure potential. My future is a field of possibility. Now that's exciting. Just by taking on this concept of thinking. But even though it's a concept of thinking, it's also an experience. And if we allow ourselves to feel into each moment, we then start to see and feel the experience more than just, oh, this is a great concept, Maurice, this is a great model. This is actually what life is. And so we've got this beautiful mind model, but we've also got this beautiful experience that we can have, and that we do have when we place our attention on it. So, what I'd like to also present to you is this concept of spiritual embodiment. And I want to briefly talk about spiritual bypass, and then we'll move into attachment styles. Now, when we're talking about attachment styles, this conversation could go on for weeks, and we still wouldn't even touch the full breadth of what this holds. Yeah. So we're going to briefly discuss the 4 attachment styles, what they look like, how they can appear, and how they then impact our relationships.
Yes.
And then we'll then step back into the non-dualistic perspective. So initially I just wanted to present that the concept of spiritual embodiment is that, and last week we spoke about victimhood and this beautiful phrase from A Course in Miracles, which says, "Nothing real can be threatened, nothing unreal exists. Therein lies the peace of God." Very, very powerful. Very, very powerful. Quite controversial. Can cause lots of suffering within you, depending on what you're attaching to. So that's probably the essence of non-dualism. But what ultimately is that comes up for people is they say, Maurice, you're denying the experience. You're minimising the experience and you're diminishing the experience. And I said, oh, no, that's not the case. So the concept of spiritual embodiment suggests that we are consciousness, we are spirit, and held within that consciousness is this human experience. So this human experience is held in this greater sphere of consciousness, if we want to look at it from that perspective. It's not the other way around, where I'm a human being that has a spiritual side to me, and who has an emotional side to me, and has a psychological side to me. Because otherwise, it's the reductionist perspective of materialism, where I then go, oh, okay, I'm this human body that thinks spiritually. So from a non-dual perspective is I am spirit having a human experience. I am consciousness having a human experience. Now, the important thing is that you're actually having a human experience. And that, as you as consciousness choose to come into this density of experience, to have an experience. So the beautiful thing is that as we have the experience, certain things arise. We get caught up in emotions, we get caught up in thoughts, and sometimes we suffer. Sometimes we're so grateful that we're in states of euphoria. So we have these range of emotions, these thoughts, and these wonderful experiences. But if I just attach myself to the experience, then I'm missing a lot of the picture. It's only a part of it. So this is the concept of dual awareness that we're looking at, is that I am the experience, but I'm also the observer of the experience. And this is where mindfulness certainly comes into this experience. Yeah. So each and every day, you're always with yourself. You might be interacting with somebody, but you'll usually be interacting with the thing called life. Things will arise within you. That's your experience. How well do you know your experience? And if you are the experience, then you are attached to it. You can't see beyond the experience. But if you use awareness, use mindfulness, and see that you are consciousness, you then get to observe the experience and maybe even come to an understanding of the experience. That's a beautiful thing about non-dualism, that I'm awareness having an experience. So first I need to become aware that I am not the experience. I am the observer of the experience. Now that's a really important step, but it's not the end. Because what can then happen is I can use spiritual bypass and go, oh, that's just an experience, I'm not that, and I'm not going to get touched by anything. I detach from it, I depersonalise from it, and I don't let it touch me. Oh, it's nothing but an experience, it's all an illusion. I'm consciousness. I'm much greater than that experience. And so that's the old spiritual bypass. So what I'd like to say to you is that you are both the experience and the awareness of it. And that is the dual awareness that we're trying to promote through non-dualism, even though we were talking about dual awareness from a non-dualistic perspective. Because I need to have an experience before I can understand the experience. I don't wake up in the morning going, oh, I understand what is just about to happen. Well, it hasn't happened. Why don't you go into it, have the experience, get caught up in it? Because usually when you get caught up in the experience, it shows you what you are not, which then allows you to see what you are. And so we can thank the experience, because there's a multitude of beautiful experiences that we can have upon this planet. There's a multitude of horrific experiences that we can have as well. But ultimately, I am consciousness. Nothing real can be threatened. Nothing unreal exists. Therein lies the peace of God. So, in saying that, what I'd then like to talk about is the experience. Mm-hmm. And the experience is really important because we come into this world not as a singular vessel. We're born into this. And everyone that I know has actually come from a mother.
From another.
Another mother.
Mm-hmm.
No one has ever been born from a man. It always comes through the feminine. So I absolutely adore the feminine. The feminine is the most powerful space. The womb of creation, in a sense. And as we come into this world through the womb of creation, we then come into others. Mm. And those others then, in a sense, become our primary caregivers. Mm. And then the bonds that we have with those primary caregivers really impact the way that we see our world. Mm. Yeah. So
the way that I see it is that we come from the whole, and we come and we are born into this experience as a separate entity. But what we are looking for is we are looking for the return back to the whole, back to source. So we come into this world wired to connect, wired to bond, back to an attachment. So, and this is where attachment comes in. What are we attaching to? We're constantly searching back to the one that is bigger, that is stronger, that is
the
wiser.
One that we have come from.
Yes.
That we are part of.
That we have already come from the beginning. Yes. And so there is this return journey back to source.
Yes.
And it comes through it comes through the primary caregiver, but there is a bigger picture of that. We are held not only through our primary caregiver, but we are held by something bigger. So when we are born into this world, we are bonded with our primary caregiver, usually a mother or a father. It doesn't necessarily have to be, but we are looking for. So from the age up until 2 months, it doesn't matter who is around, whether it's a mother or father, whether it's an uncle or a neighbour. It has no care. The infant has no care of who it's going to attach to. But from 2 months on, it then starts to bond to a primary caregiver. And from there, and we are we see ourselves as we are seen. So if we have the primary caregiver who is attentive and loving and attuned and supportive, then that's how we learn to see ourselves. That's how we form our identity. So, and ideally we want secure attachment, and that comes from a primary caregiver who is regulated themselves, who is attuned to our needs, who is there for us when we have what we call a signal cry, and who can help us to understand ourselves, because we're non-verbal before three years of age. We don't understand. Our brain is still developing, is still growing, and so we need another to help us to understand ourselves, who we are, what this is, what this experience is. And so, this is the search, this is the return back into ourselves.
And I love it how you say that we see ourselves how we are seen.
Yes.
So even in that early ages, we're forming, in a sense, maybe an identity.
An identity.
Yeah.
And so for a secure attachment to happen, and in fact all of us, what we're looking for is to be seen through the eyes of love. We are looking for that gleam in our mother's eye or our father's eye or our primary caregiver's eye as infants. And it gives us the message that I'm so glad that you are here. You deserve to be here. I want you to be here, and you matter to me. And so we're always the age that we have been before, and we are always looking for that experience. We want to matter to others. Actually, there's the research that was done by Alan Shaw from UCLA, and he sort of pioneered around neuroscience and imaging, and discovered that he was asked, what is the core element that humans are searching for? And the core element is that gleam in another's eye, that I matter to you. It's the one thing that we are searching for. And so when we have that, when we have a parent, a caregiver that is attuned to us and gives us that, you mean something to me, I'm so glad that you are here, then we form secure attachment.
So from a non-dualistic perspective, bringing that back to we are all one, we are
Yes.
fractals, and we're actually coming from a space of love, it's no wonder that we're wired to find or seek that which we are.
That which we already are.
But we're seeking it in another.
Yes.
Because we're coming into a space where there are others.
Yes, but we are relational beings.
Yes.
We need to have another to be able to remember who we are.
And another is a conduit to see self.
Yes.
Yes. And we're wired for that coming into this world.
Yes, well that's because we've come from the whole, but we come in as a single unit.
Yes.
Needing to have another. So 1 and 1 makes 3.
Makes 3, yes.
1 and 1 makes creation. Even though we've come from source, and we come in as the single identity, we cannot stay there alone and not feel part of the whole.
Yes, man is not an island upon itself. Yes. And so this is what we're seeking. Now, wouldn't it be wonderful if that was what was being returned? Because here is this I guess the experience then is that for one to be attuned to another, there's there's an element of self-regulation within the other.
The other.
And the other hasn't got anything going on that's going to affect the attunement. And
Yes.
that doesn't necessarily happen. I know, being a father of 4 children, I haven't always been regulated when I've been hanging out with my kids.
No.
I've had my own stuff that's happening throughout my days.
I don't know of any human being that gets it right 100% of the time.
Yes, and I think that we've seen that we only need to get it 30% of the time right.
Only
Is that
need
right?
to get it right. The research shows that we only need to get it right 30% of the time
To create secure attachment.
to create secure attachment. Yes.
Yeah. So secure. So when we talk about attachment styles,
And when and also in that, so long as we have repair, so we have a rupture, so long as we have repair.
Repair.
Yes. So we only need to get it right 30% of the time, but with repair. So if we stuff up, if we're not there and we don't, we're not attuned to our infant, and this carries on through to our adulthood. So whether you're in relationship now as an adult and you have rupture, it's okay to have rupture so long as you have repair following.
yes, and when we have repair, it can make the bonds even stronger.
That's right.
Because repair promotes trust.
Yes.
And we can also repair our own ruptures. So when we look at rupture and repair, we have interpersonal and intrapersonal
Yes.
ruptures and repairs.
Yes.
Okay.
And in the terms of creating trust, because one of the things that's really key around attachment is this this model of what we call the circle of security.
Mm-hmm.
And so, in the circle of security, this was a framework, I suppose, that was developed, I think, 30 years ago by what's his name? Actually, I've written it down. So Glenn Cooper, Kent Hoffman, and Bert Powell were the founders of this circle of security. And there's 3 components of this. So basically, we need the first component of it in order to have secure attachment. The first component is hands. The second component is the top of the circle, so the going out. And the third component is the coming back in. So for trust to be built, we need to have all 3 components operating correctly. And when you get an understanding of this circle of security, then you can have an understanding around attachment and how attachment styles are formed.
Yes. So the child, we could be sitting in the playground, mum or dad's sitting on the bench, the child goes out to play.
Yes.
Mum or dad's on the phone.
Yes.
Scrolling through stuff. The child looks back and sees that the parent is not paying attention.
Yes.
Yeah, and then maybe the child then falls over and still looks back and the parent's not paying attention.
Yeah. Or is crying. It's a signal cry.
Yes.
And even the looking over, looking for mum, and she's not paying attention, or dad not paying attention. It's a signal cry, even though there's not a cry in itself.
Just the looking back.
Yes, I'm searching for you. I'm looking for you.
Yeah.
I need to be seen. I need to know that you see me.
Is it safe for me to go further? Or, hey, hang on, don't go there. Just come back in. So there's that, I'm just checking in.
Yeah. So you'll see this in all humans, all infants, children, animals. You'll see this in relationships. You'll see this in. So what will happen is that child, particularly the smaller they are, as an infant, they can't get up and walk away, but they will start to look out and then they'll return. So that's the outward journey, and then they'll come back. As they start to mobilise, they will start to crawl around and explore a little bit, but they won't go very far at all. And then they'll come back to you. As they get older into toddlerhood, they'll push the boundaries even more, but they will not take off down the road unless there is a broken attachment. So what's necessary is that the hands, which is the primary caregiver, is there and allowing that child to go off and explore their world. So here you want to be seen that I'm watching over you, that you are safe. I'm delighting in you, and so there's the allowance of this exploration that goes out, and then there is the return. Once the child or the animal, the infant, or the spouse or the partner, once they've filled their cup, they then want to return back to show you what they've found, or to come back and seek comfort from you. And so there needs to be this balance and this allowance of allowing the child to go off to explore, and then coming back to return to safe hands. And this is where, if there is problems with the primary caregiver and they haven't had secure attachment, or they're not attuned, then you'll get a mismatch in this. So for example, if the child is going off to explore and the hands, the caregiver is somebody who's got an anxious attachment style, they may send a non-verbal or a verbal signal to that child to come back, baby, or you shouldn't,
So
or,
now there's threat.
Yes, so the child is very attuned to the caregiver,
Sure.
and even from a very young age will learn to accommodate the caregiver.
So like helicopter parenting.
Yes.
Anxious attachment.
Anxious attachment, and then it forms anxious attachment
Yes.
in the child.
Yes, and I need somebody to be watching over me while I explore, otherwise I don't feel safe to explore.
That's right, yes.
Yeah, so that primary caregiver's attachment style impacts the attachment style of the child.
Yes.
In relation to how
Yes.
it relates to it.
That's
as
right.
well.
And then if you have the opposite, so if you have a caregiver that allows their child to go off to explore, and then isn't so much there for the return. So this is, and this can be quite generational. From my generation, it was children were to be seen and not heard. I don't care where you are, so long as you're home before dark. Yeah? So our caregivers were very good in allowing the go off to explore, and for many of them, not so great on the return, not so great on the delight in you. What have you found? What have you discovered? Or it was the child comes back returning, crying, and the response is, "Why are you crying? I'll give you something to cry about." This kind of response. So this is where an insecure attachment can develop. The third part of that is the hands. So if with the hands, what we need is somebody who is bigger, who is stronger, who is wiser, and who is kind. So even if you have the going out and the coming back, if you have somebody who's bigger, stronger, and wiser without the kind, they're mean. Yeah? So you can have a mismatch or you can have somebody who's always giving in to the child of, not putting boundaries in place. So yeah, this is where your attachment styles can be impacted.
Yeah, right.
But then if we take it and on a macro.
Yeah, so from a non-dual, or from a larger perspective, the hands, the primary caregiver's life.
Is life.
Is life.
Is source. Is God. Or however you like to see it. Mm. We are held by life itself. If we can come to that point, whether you've had a secure attachment as a child or not, we can, and this is a key to know, that even though our attachment styles are developed in the first 3 to 5 years of our lives, it doesn't necessarily mean that that's what you're stuck with for the rest of your life. You can actually all come into more secure attachment, but it will take it will take attunement to yourself and also to another.
Sure.
But if you can come to that point of realising as an adult that we are always held by Source, by God, however you want to see it. Thank you. Yeah.
So there's 3 other attachment styles. I'm just mindful of the time.
Yeah.
I think that we could probably do another one of these sessions just on that, but do you want to quickly
so just
talk
very,
about those?
very quickly. So there's 4 basic attachment styles. One of them is secure attachment, and everything else is insecure attachment. Okay? So when you think about the circle of security and going out, if you don't have a caregiver that allows you to go off and explore, then you'll tend to have anxious attachment. So we've got secure, we've got anxious, we've got avoidant, and avoidant is where we don't have the bottom of the circle, the return journey back again, and I'll go in and explain those a little bit more. And then you've got disorganized. So we've got secure, we've got anxious, we've got avoidant, and then we've got disorganized. And disorganized attachment is a combination of the two. This is where the caregiver, the one that you are needing to turn to for love and support, is actually somebody who is inconsistent or fearful. You're fearful of them. It's very damaging for the development of a child's brain to have that inconsistency or to have incongruence between what is being said and the non-verbal language that is being emitted.
And so the way that you break it down is that secure attachment, I'm okay
Yes.
and you're okay.
Yes.
That's sort of the
Yes.
way that we're looking at it.
Yes.
When insecure, anxious is.
So we kind of put it on a grid, and so if you've got secure attachment, it's down this end of the spectrum and this end of the spectrum. So I'm okay and you're okay.
Yeah.
If we have anxious attachment style, it is I'm not okay and you're okay.
So you're okay, but I'm not okay.
Yeah.
So I'm quite anxious, so nothing wrong with you, or there isn't a problem, in our relationship. It's not you, it's me.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's something. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
And that would have its own negative cognitions as well.
Totally.
Too.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm not enough.
Yeah.
I'm a failure. I can never achieve.
Yeah. I can't control my emotions. Yeah. Okay. And then the
you've
avoidant.
got avoidant, and the avoidant is that I'm okay, you're not okay, and that comes from that we are not able to trust the caregiver. They were not responsive. They were not there, available. So we had to rely upon ourselves. And then the disorganized attachment, which is the 4th, it is the combination of I'm not okay and you're not okay. I cannot trust myself and I cannot trust you.
Yeah. And so those scripts, those cognitions are developed through the identity of, what was it? I see myself as I am seen.
As I am seen.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so we develop them through this young period of time, and then.
And in that young period of time, because we're egocentric.
Yes,
it's all about us.
Yes, we can't see outside of ourselves.
No, we can't develop what we call metacognition, or we can't see outside of us. So, as an infant, or a child, I cannot think, Nathan might be feeling this today. Yeah, so it's all, we internalise it all for ourselves.
Yeah. So rather than going, okay, Nathan's having a bad day, it's just I must not be worthy. That's why he's saying this to me.
Yeah. Rather than he's had a bad day.
He's had a bad day, and can I show compassion and understanding and empathy towards it? I've got no idea. It's all about me. Yeah. So then, those primary attachments to our primary caregivers,
Yes.
then we then start to look for that within our relationships.
That's right. So this is what we've learned. This is what our worldview has become, and so we carry that, and we're looking for that in our relationships throughout the rest of our lives, right through to end of life, unless we start to become aware of it and we start to work on strategies to bring us back into secure attachment.
Yeah, yeah. So heaps more to talk
there
about that.
It's a big topic.
And you and I were actually putting together a relationships workshop, whether that's over a period of weeks or whether it's over a period of days.
Yes.
We have done one before,
Yes.
that masterclass, which was really beautiful and great.
There's so much more I want to bring into it, including the polyvagal theory and including the circle of security and attachment styles.
And love languages.
All that
sort of stuff too, yeah.
Maybe some numerology.
Of course, yes. So let's then, beautiful understanding or beautiful introduction of the attachment styles, how we form them with our primary caregivers, how they then inform the relationships that we then have. But also these attachment styles can be shifted and changed, all right, through awareness and through education. So there is hope around that too. Bringing that back to the non-dualistic perspective is to going, okay, you might be able to become aware of the attachment style that you've had with your primary caregiver. So that's a good place to start. Yeah, and you might even then start to see the attachment styles that you've had with particular partners or your children or significant people in your life as well. The big question then is going, well, what is your attachment style with life? Because ultimately, that is the hands.
It is the hands.
That is the ultimate primary caregiver, because you go out and you then come back.
And I would say we are a child of God. We are a fractal of the whole. So we are part of the whole. We are a part of, and really the whole is love.
Yes.
And so when we can start to see ourselves through the eyes of love,
yes.
And start to see another through the eyes of love, I believe that's where healing and the return home can occur.
Yeah, and seeing that from a non-dualistic lens, that you and I are one. We are part of the same whole.
Yes.
And that there is no separation. That I can see myself through my interactions with others because they are a mirror. And I get to see myself through that, and each and every day I can be excited about stepping forward upon my path in life, because ultimately I get to meet myself many, many times throughout my day. That other self that we see, it's part of the larger other self, or the whole of life. And consider to yourself, do I have a secure attachment with life? Do I feel held by life? Is life always there for me? Has it supported me? Will it always be there for me? Or do I get anxious about it? I'm not too sure if it's going to turn up. Or do I try to avoid it? I don't even know if I want to go out there today. Or am I totally disorganized that I can't trust myself, let alone trust anything greater than me? And see how we then start to see this cognition then play out within our days. Because each and every day, you're hanging out with life. You can't get away from it unless you then check out. And even when you check out, it's still going to be there, just in a different form, because you'll be in a different form. So, once again, another introduction to something much larger through these conversations. And I really want to thank you this evening for joining me and introducing this, because you can speak to it, I won't say in a better way, but in another way, yeah, because of your own individual unit of perspective, yeah, and you've taught me a lot about it as well, so just want to thank you, and thank everybody else for coming in. Great evening. We've got the ripple effect coming up after this. Thank everyone out there in online land, and I think next week we're back here in the studio doing something else. I have no idea, but we'll let you know. So thank you, everybody. If there's any questions, please let us know. I'm thinking too that it'd be great to put some links around circle of security, even that shark.
Yes.
What's that called? Shark?
The shark music.
Shark music, because that's really good. And then maybe if we can find something around attachment styles.
Yeah.
So there's just some points of reference.
Mm-hmm.
All right, cool.
Okay.
Thank you.